We start off with the first Spider-Man to this movie. He explains his story about how he became Spider-Man, saving the day, and just regular Spider-Man shit. Then we meet Miles Morales, the main character of the show. He's getting ready to go to school, but bro was listening to some heat from Post Malone and zoned out. Then his dad dropped him off at school after they had an argument about him moving to a different school and then embarrassed the fuck out of him in front of the whole school. And then he goes and tries to fit in with the new students, but failed because of what the fuck just happened. Then, after school bro went to go chat with his uncle, and his uncle teaches him how to rizz up girls. Then him and his fake The Rock looking ass uncle went to this dark ass place to start spray painting on the walls, and then out of nowhere a big ass blue spider bit him on his hand, and he went home. Then he went to school and all the weird spider shit starts happening. The next day when he went to school he was doing all kinds of weird shit, but the weirdest of all, he tried using the Riz advice that his uncle gave him, but ended up ripping Gwen's hair out, giving her a fade. Then he runs away and climbs into his room and starts freaking out, and then figures out that he's Spider-Man after reading a comic book took you long enough. Then he went back to the same darkest place where the spider bit him, and he found Spider-Man getting his ass beat by Prowler, a villain in the show, and they see each other and Spider-Man finds out that Miles is Spider-Man too. Then after all that, Peter is beat the fuck up until he is unable to move, so Miles run over Peter and Spider-Man gives the chip needed to stop this device that can destroy the world. Then this big back swole body man finds him and kills him. Then Miles tries to sneak out of the building, but this bitch is clumsy, so they hear him and Prowler starts chasing him, but Miles escaped. Then he reaches home and sees that all over the news that Spider-Man is dead, and the whole city is just depressed as shit because they realize that they won't have anyone to protect them. Then after all that depressed as shit, Miles goes to Spider-Man's grave and meets another Spider-Man from another universe, but this one is the lame fat lonely version of Spider-Man. Then Miles, after trying over and over again of trying to convince the Spider-Man to train and help him get a new chip, because Miles clumsy ass broke the chip Spider-Man gave him before he died. Then they pull up to the broad body blanket Bill as villain's hideout. They stole the chip, and they met Gwen, the female spider from another dimension. Then after all that, they went to Aunt May's house and they explained that they need to fix the chip so they can switch off the device and send all the different Spider-Men home. So after that longest explanation, she agrees to help them, and she took them to Spider-Man's fake-ass Batcave, and they find other Spider-Men from different universes, and they agree to help each other. Then they jump Miles and roasted the fuck out him, saying that he's not ready to become Spider-Man, and then he turns invisible and runs back to his room. Then he decided to go over to his fake The Rock looking ass uncle house to talk to him, but the Prowler comes in and almost finds him there. Then plot twist, the Prowler is his uncle, and then Miles clumsy as fell again, and his uncle started chasing him, and Prowler followed him. Miles runs to Aunt May's house to try and warn them that the bad guys are coming for them, but it's too late. They start throwing hands and Prowler chases Miles down and is about to kill him. Miles then reveals his identity to Prowler and he is shocked and just stood there long as fuck because he couldn't believe it. Then the biggest swollen body built villain tells him to kill Miles, but he can't do so. He got shot and Miles carries him to a darkest place and he dies there. Then Miles runs to his room again and starts crying. Then all the different Spider-Men came to his room to comfort him. Then them lame Spider-Man roasted him, tied Miles up, and took the chip because they don't think he's ready to become Spider-Man. Then after they leave him in his room unable to move, his dad came and almost went in and found out his identity, but he stays outside and apologized to Miles for being rough on him. Then Miles finally decided to lock the fuck in and he breaks out of the webs. Then we get this cool ass montage of him learning how to become Spider-Man. Then all the Spider-Man sneaks into the big back villain's hideout to try to jump him and put the chip in the device so they can go back home. Then Miles pull up in the coldest Spider-Man suit and helps them beat up the bad guys. But as they fighting, the rod wave built ass villain turns on the device, and it's fucking the city up because the device is bringing different things from their dimension to this dimension. But despite that, they manage to get to the device, put the chip in, and sends everybody home. But right as they are going home, the billboard built ass villain tries to stop them, and the fat Spider-Man tries to help, but Miles sends him home because if he stays in this dimension he will die. Then Miles has to take on the pencil sharpener built ass villain by himself, and he was beating Miles the fuck up. And also we find out that the reason he did all of this is so he can go back in time to be with his wife and kids in another dimension because they died in this dimension. But Miles locks in and defeats the big body-built villain because look how big and huge this man is. Goddamn, he took up the whole screen. But yeah, he defeated him and tied him up so the police could arrest him. Then the whole city praises Miles for saving the city and he becomes the new Spider-Man of New York. And they ended it off with one of the cleanest Spider-Man pose ever.